Hello, and welcome back to the Ginger Joe Racing Show, proudly sponsored by Oddschecker. We have a new esteemed special guest. Finally, I got a hold of him. Friend Brian Lee, aka the Duck, got me involved with Pat. Pat, as you know, is the number one photographer in Ireland. He's chairman of Listowel. He does great work here down for the southwest here in Ireland for racing in Listowel. The 7 Day Harvest Festival is Pat's baby. Pat, how are you? Welcome to the show. Hopefully, give you a good enough introduction there.
Thanks for having me on, lads. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I have to give a shout out to Brian Leahy, the Duck. He said, Pat, you have to look after these boys. They're good friends of mine. And I'm only too delighted. And thanks for having me.
Lovely, Pat. And to Kieran, welcome back, Kieran, to the show. Kieran is one of our wingmen here on the show. He drops in now and then, we'll say precisely. Kieran, how are you?
Yeah, all good, man. Thanks for having me back on again. I notice our esteemed host, Mr. Ginger, is missing, but we'll let that be that. It's good to be back with the wingmen.
And to my Ante-Post challenger, Scotty Rhodes. Scotty, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Good to have Pat on and Kieran. Thank you. So, yeah, two of Kerry's finest and Cheltenham's finest. So here we go.
Right. What we'll do, so lads, we'll crack on quickly with a weekend preview, I suppose. It'll be just quick and short and sweet because it's only 4 races from Kempton. And then we'll go to the questions you have for Pat, and then we'll go a little Q&A and talk about Cheltenham at the end. So we'll start with, I think on Saturday, is it? The Adonis, am I right? The Adonis hurdle.
150, Jamie, the Pendle.
150, the Adonis Juvenile Hurdle. And at the moment, Mondo Man for the Moore team is 8-11. Lulamba is 2, 7-2 Palladium, 4-1 OPEC, 7-1 St. Pancras, and 10-1 Savignon. Scotty, start us off. Is Lulamba going to run here?
So 225, isn't it? 150 is the Pendle, but we're going to do the 225.
We'll go back to the Pendle. Go on.
Okay, yeah.
4 by me.
225.
It's
all about Lulamba, isn't it, really? Obviously, he was giving £10 last day to Mondo Man at Ascot. Very impressive on his UK debut. He's giving £5 away again here. There was a bit of a drift today in the Triumph Hurdle market, but I think he's come back in and he's just been replaced by East India Dock as favourite for the Triumph Hurdle now. But you imagine if he goes and wins here and wins well, which I fully expect him to do, I think he'd go back into maybe an even shorter price for Cheltenham, maybe 2-1, 15-8. But he'd have to win by probably quite a fair distance for me, Jamie, to be really worried about him beating East India Dock at the festival. I'm still firmly in his camp. I think the form's pretty solid for East India Dock here. He obviously Sauvignon ran in that race against him in Cheltenham on trials day. St. Pancras, all the form ties in. He came out and won last time at Musselburgh. So it's all stacking up in East India Dock's favour. Palladium's another interesting potential runner. Whether he does get declared tomorrow and Henderson has 2 in the race, he was a little bit sticky for me at Huntington, so I think he has to step up again. But yeah, I fully expect Lulamba to get the job done if he turns up, and if he doesn't, then I'd probably say Mondo Man will finish ahead of Palladium. Depends what turns up for Henderson, but I think it's quite straightforward. I think Lulamba will probably win the race, Jamie.
Will he turn up, Scotty? I don't think he will.
I've got a feeling he may not, because I mean 7-4 here. I mean, if you're backing a 7-4 shot any time of the year, this is probably the best one to get stuck into. So for me, that's maybe a clue in itself. Maybe he's not going to turn up like you say, but we'll soon find out tomorrow when declarations are out. So
yeah, I definitely quickly short and sweet with me. I think Palladium was a good thing at 7-2, especially the Wolf Moon came out and franked the form last week at Suddle. Kieran, talk to me. Who will win this?
Well, going by the judging on the odds that you just gave out there, I don't think Lulamba's going to run the way. In fact, was it 2-1 Lulamba at the moment? Is it? Something
yes.
Like that? Yeah, I don't think he's going to run. I think they'll run Palladium instead. I think Mondo Man is the rightful favourite if Lulamba doesn't run, but he needs to settle, doesn't he? After the last time he pulled the arms out of the jockey all the way round, but still some race to be fair. I would take a swing. I know Scotty likes East India Dock, so I'm going to take the stablemate, and obviously that'll help the form out as well. Is it Opaque, is it?
Opaque, for James Owen, yeah.
Yeah, she's done nothing wrong this season. 3 wins, and she was 7th at Chepstow in the finale behind the horse from France, who I can't remember the exact name of him now. Is it Nuzes Haas or something?
Nietzsche Haas, yeah.
That's the one,
Haas,
yeah. At Chepstow, yeah. So I think she's got decent form in the book, and I think if Palladium needs to jump better, Mondo Man obviously needs to settle, and she's done nothing wrong this season, so I take her. I think she's about 4-1 shot, is she?
Yeah.
Currently? Yeah, so she'd be for me, for the East India Dock team.
Pat, the Adonis, the favourite Mondo Man, would he do anything for you? Lalamba or Palladium? What do you think?
Again, the juveniles, I hate punting juveniles, tell you the truth. Like Mondo Man, I was very short, honestly. And like where did he win? He won, like, has he won over hers? He's still a maiden over hers, isn't he?
Yeah, he was second to Lamba at Ascot.
Yeah. Like when the boys said there, Nicky probably run Palladium over Lulumba. I wouldn't mind. I like James Owen as a trainer. You were giving Opic a chance. I like James Owen as a trainer. I think this guy can train frogs to hop. I think he's very good. He's trained Arabian horses. He's trained pointers. He's training flat horses. He's training national hunt horses. And if Opic, he's shown 7-1 here on my screen. I think if you can get a few quid each way in Opic, I'd like him as well.
Lovely. And with the Irish form, Pat, I'm going to have a 2-part question there to kill a couple of birds with one stone. Hello, neighbour. Do you think has he any chance against Lamba and East India Dock when it comes to the Triumph Hurl? Would you give him any chance against the two?
Huge chance. As well as doing it at Leopardstown at the DRF, he was very good. But I just love Gavin as a trainer. He's a real target trainer, and he works his way back. Mm-hmm. And I think there's going to be loads of improvement to come from Hello Neighbour. He will have a huge life. Again, with juveniles, they can be tricky and can be funny, but definitely, yeah. Hello Neighbour definitely has a huge chance.
Perfect, thank you, Pat. Sorry, no lads, we skip back to the 150. My fault. To the 2.5 mile Pendle Novice Chases, which is the Grade 2, and the favourite at the moment on my screen at 7-4 best price is Jinko Blue, who fell last week. Rubo is 9-4. 3-1 Imperial Saint, 8-1 Ashtail Bob, and 14-1 Boom Bawn. Kieran, we'll go back to you in the Pendle. Jinko Blue fell last week. Is it an afterthought?
I think this is an afterthought. What did he come down at? Well, it was unseat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was at the 2nd or 3rd. I think did he unseat, if I remember rightly. Mm-hmm. I think this is a bit of an afterthought. I know they're trying to get the run into him, but surely this couldn't have been the plan after last week, so I'd be willing to skip over him. But then again, the race is an absolute minefield. You couldn't trust any of these, to be honest. Like Rubo's next in the betting. This will be his 3rd run in the last 7 weeks. Obviously, ran behind Sagino over Christmas and then behind Le Desert up at Warwick a couple of weeks ago. Going up to 2.5 miles, could you trust him? Imperial Saint's the next in the betting. He's only gone right-handed once in his career. I know he's suited by Aintree, so potentially Kempton, similar sort of track. But again, it's right-handed, not left-handed. And then you come to like Boomborn, Mark of Gold down there. It's a real minefield. I know Ashdale Bob's also in there potentially if he comes over. But it's a minefield. If Rubo is fully wound up, I know he's had a difficult passage. I think he'd be the one I'd go side with, but I'm not fully convinced at the moment, to be honest.
Pat, I think you're going to be with me. I see James Owen has jocked up for Mrs. Harrington's horse at 8-1.
Yeah, Ashdale Bob. He does. He'll have a life, and the fact that the Harrington stable are sending him over to Kempton, they would have pinpointed this a long way out. Like he's a 10-year-old. He has plenty of mileage on the gauge. Hasn't run since August. He won in Galway. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't mind that coming from the Harrington camp. They're always fairly straight. And obviously, your man, Young James, is a pass the word, they say, a eye-taking booking. He's shown 15-2 on my screen. I wouldn't mind having a bit each way on Ashdale Bob. The fact that Jingo Blue, look, what happened in Ascot was unfortunate. when you're training race horses, it's not ideal. We all know what Henderson is like. Nicky is just so precise. He likes to have his I's dotted and his T's crossed with his horses by whatever date he maps out for them. Obviously, there was a hiccup last Saturday in Ascot. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't be surprised if he won here either. He's a decent horse. Again, he's a 6-year-old, and if he puts in a clear round, he's probably for me he will win. But I like Ashdale Bob each way.
Lovely, Pat. Jinko Blue and Ashdale Bob for Pat. I'm with Ashdale Bob here, especially with the run after he won obviously at Galway, and he beat a horse that has been touted for a couple of handicaps on his chase debut. I think he won his beginner's chase. He beat the company sergeant, who is touted for either a novice handicap or a Coral Cup, hopefully. So I think it might, an 8-1 at the moment. I'll definitely have a bit of each way on that. Scotty, the Pendle. Any love for Rubo over a new trip, 2.5 miles?
No, I think it's too soon. And Kieran touched on it earlier. This will be his third run in about 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 7 weeks. Sorry, because he ran behind Ballyburn, didn't he? And Sir Gino at the course over 2 miles. I just think Ashdale Bob is a very good horse. He's probably one of his easiest graded races he would have run in for some time. He's like placing in Coral Cups and Grade 1s. He's a very consistent horse, but just 10-year-olds as novice chasers, it just doesn't excite me. That's the only thing. He's definitely got the class edge, but I just thought Jingo Blue, I mean, it's obviously a worry him unseating last week when he ran in that race at Ascot in the Reynoldstown, but at 7-4, it's a wee bit short. He's the most likely winner if he gets round, but I'm just keep looking at Boom Bourne. I think his form going right-handed is very solid. He won that Rising Stars earlier in the season at Wincanton, the race that Handstands unseated in. And Handstands has obviously come out and franked the form since. Soul Icon was in that race, finished second, who he beat. And Soul Icon won in Open Company at Kempton at Christmas. He won the Desert Orchid, which he was very impressive in. And all that form ties him pretty well with the Sandown form earlier in the season. So if Boomborn turns up at 14-1, he'd be my each way play, Jamie. I think his best form is right-handed. And I don't think there's anything in the race I'd be massively scared of. So at 14s, I'd have an each way play on him.
Lovely. We'll move on to the 3 o'clock at Kempton. Is the 2 mile Dovecote Novice Hurdle over 2 miles, and it's a Grade 2. And the 7-4 favourite at the best prices at the moment is Miami Magic, 7-2 Triple E Flyer, 5-1 Celtic Dino, 7-1 Starcross Lover, 8-1 Royce, and 10-1 and Dancham or whatever. Scotty, would stick with you. Any fancy in the Dovecote?
It's a tough race, Jamie. I think it's a very open race. I think it's a race that traditionally doesn't produce festival winners. Like I think Irving won this race in 2014, was central favourite, joint favourite for the Supreme, and he was pretty much pulled up in that race. Traditionally, the race has thrown up good 2 mile future 2 mile chases, the likes of Grand Annual winners like Global Citizen, Pigeon Island, Champion Chase winner Sida Grushi all won this race in years gone by. I don't think there's a superstar in here this year, but all the form again relates back to Potter's Charm, who was beaten last time, who won the Grade 1 at Aintree. Celtic Dino, Roadless Travelled, and Miami Magic, who was second to him. They're all reopposing here. I do like Triple E Flyer as a horse. I think he's probably the one for the future where I'd be saying he could be a potential graded horse over maybe a further trip like a Stairs Hurdle horse this time next year potentially. But just for the race itself, going back to going the right way around on some good ground if the rain doesn't come, I thought Celtic Dino was the one to be on at the prices. Had a couple of good wins earlier in the season, Wincanton and Ascot. Yeah, I just think Celtic Dino at 5-1 is a great each way bet here. And I know he's got a bit of form, of a few lengths to make up on Miami Magic from that Aintree run, but like I said, I think conditions will be more in his favour. So I'd be very keen to give Celtic Dino one more chance here. You
just basically stole my thunder. 5-1 is massive, Celtic Dino. I totally agree with you. Back going right-handed, a bit of better, more ground. He was very impressive at Wincanton in his debut and at Ascot. I suppose we couldn't see much, Scotty, at Aintree with the...
That's the thing. You don't know what happened. He could have fallen on 2 feet, but we just weren't sure.
Hopefully, what my theory goes, even with the fog, that he did hang too badly on his and he needs to go right-handed. Kieran, the Dovecote, are we talking nonsense with Celtic Dino going back right-handed?
He's got a chance going back right-handed for sure, but like you said, the form ties in. With the form be behind Potter's Charm, obviously Miami Magic was second, Celtic Dino was fourth, and Road Less Travelled, who I backed that day. He was very disappointing. I think he was like 10th or something. Just didn't like it at all.
Good and Clever was third, and he finished third to Kopek the
Yeah,
board.
so the
form was there.
You just had to bring Kopek the board into this conversation somewhere, didn't you? Somewhere on the line.
I told you the Supreme winner a long time ago, so thanks for picking me up. Come on, go on.
Stop that. But no, I'm going to give Triply Flyer a chance in this. I honestly think he's got a great chance in this, and then I think it'll be on to Aintree, where he'll possibly take on the Grade 1 at Aintree. I think he was decent in the bumper. I think he was second in the bumper at Aintree last season. He's come out. He's not been flashy. I think he was 1-14 when he won a couple of starts back. And he looked in trouble at Musselburgh when he won last time, but somehow managed to pull it out of the bag and then coming over the last. If you hadn't watched the first part of the race, you would have thought he'd won easy. The way he come over the last, he was miles clear. But I think there's a lot of potential in this horse, and he could certainly put it up to him here and then on to Aintree, I think, for the Grade 1. I think that's the plan for the Fergal O'Brien team.
Lovely. Triply Flyer for Kieran. Pat, the 3 o'clock, the Dove Kid. Have you had a look?
Yeah.
Again,
look, I suppose the key is the Grade 1 at Aintree on St. Stephen's Day, wasn't it? That was a few of them clashed there. The John Joe horse, I liked him, and obviously he pulled up in the Farm Bay at Aintree that day, and I'm willing to forgive him whatever headache he had that day. I'm sure John Joe has him back on. I liked him. He's by a German stallion. He's by Laro. I liked him. He won in Haydock. I liked him that day. I know there wasn't many runners in the race, but he impressed me at the end of November. And he won around Weatherby nicely. And I'm just going to forgive him for his running Aintree on Stephen's Day. 9-10 to 1 each way. He'll do me the road less travelled.
Perfect, Pat. Road less travelled. 10 to 1 each way for Pat. Great shout. Now we'll move on to our last race that we'll preview for the weekend is the Ladbrokes Handicap Trophy over 3 miles at 3:35 at Kempton, and the favourite at the best odds here on the Race Post site at 7 to 2 is Highland. 5 to 1 Iroko, 7 to 1 Lowry's Bar, 8 to 1 Beachcomber, 8 to 1 Arpar, I think a previous winner of the race. Can Do Kid is 10 to 1, and Catadori is 10 to 1, and 14 to 1 Bar. Scotty, we'll go back to you. A horse that you put up on our Ante-Post series for the Ultima, Highland, is running here at 7 to 2 on his favourite Better Ground. Second to the Jukebox Man at I always call it the Feltham at Christmas. Does he win here? Is he too short?
Yeah.
And I can see the sickness in your face that he's not going to.
Yeah, I'm sick, Jamie. I mean, I had him for the Ultima at a big price. I'm just gutted he's going to run here. I'm kind of hoping the heaven's open. There's a bit of rain forecast, and I'm hoping that they pull him. Very selfish of me to say. He's got his Ultima entry, so there's still a bit of hope. But yeah, I mean, he's entitled to be favourite. But in this kind of race, I would never take 7 to 2 on a novice. In this kind of race, I just wouldn't do it. It's a crazy price. He should be maybe double that price if I'm being 100% honest. I think it's just like you say, the form of the Jukebox Man, his Cheltenham form, it all ties in with the Ante-Post kind of markets with the likes of Transmission and the National Hunt Chase. If he wins, he wins. I mean, he's 147. His mark's going to go up to the 150s, obviously, if he wins this and wins it well. So he won't win an Ultima off that. They're talking about sending him to the National. So yeah, I'm going to leave him go, Jamie. I came down on Beachcomber just for the race, 8 to 1. I know he's gone up £9 from his win at Kempton at Christmas on the 27th. I just thought he was mighty impressive. He's a horse that he jumps so right, it's ridiculous. So this is obviously going to suit him. He was ridden handy, a horse that jumps for fun. I just think this kind of race will suit him. And yeah, I'm just pretty pig sick, if I'm being honest. I'll probably have a small each way play on Beachcomber and hope Highland either finishes at the back of the telly or doesn't run and turns up in the Ultima. I'm just not very excited by the race now. I'm just being very selfish and grumpy about it, to be honest.
Lovely. Scotty's still crying about Highland, but he's hipped Beachcomber for this. Pat, the 3:35, big pot to win the 3:35 Ladbrokes Trophy, the old Racing Post chase. Have you had a look? Anything tickle your fancy?
I do. I like the look of Lowry's Bar, the Hobbs, the Hobbs horse here. Second in Windsor on his last run there in the middle of January, and he won around Chepstow before that. He'd won around Exeter before that. But I just maybe thought Windsor might have been a bit sharp from the last day. Again, he's an each way bet 7-1. Lowry's Bar for Philip Hobbs.
Lovely. Lowry's Bar quarantines in with the old Jinko Blue, who Pat fancies for the Pendle. Good shout by her from Pat at 7-1. Lowry's Bar. Kieran, any fancy here?
I'm going to echo and agree with Scotty. I think Beachcomber's got to have a chance here. You look down the list, like Highland obviously is a sickener for Scotty. I know. I've backed him as well for the Ultima, so I'm hoping that he gets pulled late and decides to go to the Ultima. But again, with Pat's fancy as well, with Larry's Bar, isn't he Ultima bound as well? Or something in chat. Well, that's it.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember too now. The pot is bigger here than the Ultima.
So
it might go pot chasing.
True, they could go pot chasing, and they've said that he's a national horse down the line. So whether he goes potentially Scottish national after this, I don't know whether that'll be the plan. But Beachcomber is the one for me. I think one over course and distance previously. I think he's got all the form in the book. He's going to be up there in the van, perfectly positioned. I think he's got a hell of a chance here. Obviously, Aroko's also in the race. He's obviously, I don't know if you've seen the news earlier today that they might not even be in the national now after the way they've been playing around with him. Came out, they said today, I think Greenall or Guerrero, one of the two, was interviewed after one of their races and said that he might not even make the national now, Aroko. So after been playing around with it. So potentially this could be the pop for him, but I'd be Beachcomber myself.
Yeah, I slightly fancy one here, 16 to 20-1, and it's the same connections as Phlegmatic has in Cheltenham.
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
First time out of 3 miles.
I was actually waiting for Phlegmatic to run in this race.
Yeah, I wanted Phlegmatic to run, but now they've chosen Cheltenham, and I think he will not go off that price, especially when he beat, this time last year, like he was running in Newbury, and he beat the subsequent Carl Gold Trophy winner, or Hennessy winner, I always got it, in Cando Kid off a mark of 130. Then he backed it up at Newbury. Was it Newbury again? He did after Cheltenham at a mark of 136. They've been messing around with him all year. He's back. He went up to 144. He's back down to his last winning mark of 136. First time out with 3 miles. I'm telling you now on Saturday, he will not go off that price. No. So 20-1 best price for me. You can have a bit of that. So that'll be Cheltenham for me anyway all day long.
I'll tell you where to watch.
Didn't the boys have one that got away? Was in the handicap hurling Ascot as well, finished second, well beaten.
Oh, that Joya Meshan.
Yeah.
We've good insight about that, Pat. We know a few owners about that horse.
I'll tell you where to back Phlegmatic is to, if he turns up in the Whitbread, the old Whitbread at Sandown.
Yeah.
Bring back right-handed over that trip.
Right-handed, better ground.
That run in the Reynoldstown or whatever it was he ran in, not the Reynoldstown, the big race the other day, the Ascot Chase.
Yeah.
There was something going on there.
He's being hidden around, isn't he? Let's be honest with ourselves.
Right, lads. That'll be a preview done. Anything else, lads, for the weekend that tickles your fancy? I'll go quickly there. I suppose Gordon's Elliott's stable tour is knocking around Twitter and the group sphere at the moment. He's running his horse on Friday at Punchestown. Familiar Dreams is one to look out for. The other one to look out for the weekend is in the Colreevy at Ferry House, Spindlebury for Willie Mullins. And on Sunday at Naas for me, Joystick is in the Michael Purcell. I think it's been moved from Thurles to Naas on Sunday. He's definitely one to look out for. Scotty, anything else that around the old place that you looked and saw and something stood out, to be honest with you?
I was just going to say, Jamie, the race, the Colreevy, I mean, Bioluminescence has an entry again. I don't know if that's just, I don't know why she's entered. I can't imagine she'd be running in the Mares Chase if she runs here at Cheltenham. So, yeah, I'm kind of, again, hoping she's not declared. But what trip is the Joystick race over, Jamie? I haven't seen the trip.
Two and a half miles.
It's 2.5, yeah, because he ran over 2.6 the last day, didn't he? And then Nathaniel Lacey. I was kind of looking forward to hoping. I think he's got an Albert Bartlett entry. I know he didn't really get home the last day, but I gave him a chance in something like the Albert Bartlett. But for the rest of the card on the weekend, I haven't really got anything that stands out, mate. No.
Kieran?
The only other race I've looked at is the Ida Chase, and the one I fancy is the one that finished second last year, beaten just a neck, and that's Prince does Fiction. I think I pronounced that correctly. It's 20-1 currently that I'm looking at. So I think he's got a bit of a weight swing with Angles Crag, who won the race last year. So potentially could go well. Likes it around Newcastle. It's the only other one I've really looked at, to be honest.
Lovely, lovely. We'll move on with the show. I suppose the first thing I will say before we move on and show our respect is it's been a hard week for the racing world at the moment. Unfortunately, today we say goodbye to Michael O'Sullivan, and his funeral was on today in Mallow. We our sincere condolences to everybody, his family, his friends. Pat, I'm sorry now for putting you on the spot. I assume as well, you've met him through the horse racing world. Can you tell us just a small snippet on him, if you like?
Yeah, sure, Michael. Just a pure dote of a boy. Obviously, 24 years of age, and I would have had loads of interactions with him. Obviously, in his career as a jockey, and meet him at the races, and it just you always got a great vibe around him. He had a presence. He was so humble, and he wanted to be champion jockey, and I've no doubt if he would have ended up that. A gifted rider, great pair of hands, could ride a race, thought deeply about riding, and was able to execute his plan 9 times out of 10, which is always important. Of course, it's well documented. It comes from a great Pine family just outside Mallow, the O'Sullivans. His dad, William, of course, he won the Fox Hunters on Lovely Citizen, and his uncle Eugene. His cousin Maxine, of course, is champion lady rider in the Pine of Pints, and his brother Alan. But I was down there yesterday, and my God, I've never seen a funeral like it. It took us an hour. We were queuing an hour before we got into the house, and they're just a gorgeous, beautiful family. And like any death, look, it's an awful cross to carry, an awful cross to bear. But of course, in our community, the racing community, when it's someone so young and so loved as Michael is and was, it is hard. And I have to say, I do have fights with the IHRB and HRI wearing my Listowel hat at times. But I have to say, in cancelling Punchestown and the Pine of Pints last Sunday and cancelling Punchestown today, I think fair play was the right thing to do, and the racing community paid their respects, and he will be missed, but by God, he won't be forgotten.
Pat, thank you for that. Scotty, what did he mean to you? Obviously, we had a great time. It was great. He won us a good few quid that day on Marie Nationale. And a Jazzy Matty, just a couple of lines from you and what he meant to you.
Yeah, I mean, horse racing's not just it's a huge part of my life. And I think like any racing fan, you grow attached to the jockeys. They don't know who you are. They've got no idea you exist, but we know them, don't we? We know them to an extent, and we can relate to all of them. Mikey was definitely a jockey on the up. He, like Pat said there, he's obviously said so many nice words, and I have a good friend who is an owner in Ireland, and he's very close to the family, to Eugene. And my cousin's ex-girlfriend used to be very close and still is close with Maxine O'Sullivan. She used to ride out for Eugene, and she speaks ridiculously highly of Mikey, always has done. So I was always interested in following his career. And when I met Joe, of course, a couple of years ago, he was the leader of the Marie Nationale fan club, very close to Barry Connell, and obviously used to speak to Mikey often. But my favourite memory of Mikey will always be my trip to the Bowls Internationals in 2023, when I had a huge anxiety about travelling up, which I hate travelling, and I was up in Scotland playing a bowls tournament. And one of my favourite memories, without sounding biased towards him, was when he won the Supreme on Marie Nationale. It was a great day. We all were on Ante-Post, and pocket talk means nothing to me. I don't care if I win or lose. I'd like to win, but I don't care if I lose. I'm just one of them, whatever. But that was a great day, and I'll always remember him for that. And yeah, of course, he followed up with Jazzy Matty as well. So yeah, just that day on Marie Nationale for me stands out as his ultimate moment. And yeah, we obviously send our deepest condolences to his friends and family. And it's a very sad time, but unfortunately, that's it's part of what happens in horse racing, and it's the saddest situation, like what happened to Kieran Kelly many years ago as well. And God forbid, there's so many more important things in life than betting and feeling sorry for yourself when you see what's happened. But it's just a very sad time. But I think hopefully his family and friends will just take the comfort from all of the nice words and everything people have said about him, which is obviously very genuine. So yeah.
Hear it?
Yeah, the thoughts firstly go out to all his family and his close friends and everything. Obviously, brilliant jockey, absolutely fantastic. Obviously, the day when he won on Marine, I wasn't actually on that day, but fair play to him, because young lad riding a big occasion like that, and you would have thought he was a professional for 10, 15 years the way he rode that, brought that all home at the hill. Obviously, then went on Jazzy Matty as well, which was brilliant. I think if I remember rightly, I think Barry Connell brought up in his interview yesterday about giving him the band for leading jockey, and Mikey didn't really faze him. He was a proper professional jockey, proper good lad. And I don't know whether many people would have backed Marine already for Cheltenham this coming, but I think that horse is going to have sentimentally 2 jockeys on board this year, isn't he? Let's be honest. Mikey's going to be there with him as he's going around Cheltenham, and let's hope he gets the job done, because it will be, not only will it be great for racing, but it will obviously pay tribute to Mikey as well if the Marine gets the job done in the champion, because that was obviously the horse he was most established to, wasn't it? So yeah, once again, thoughts out to his family and closest friends. Great lad.
Yeah, for me, my memory of him, to be honest with you, and last June, myself and 2 friends went on the train from Tralee up to Tipperary Racecourse, and he was riding for Barry Connell, and I got a photo with him. Had a good chat with him. You could approach him, no problem. I mentioned a few names, and he said, "Yeah, I know him," and we got chatting. And I'd say we were chatting for 5 minutes, and I'd say if he didn't go in 5 minutes later, I'd say he'd been disqualified because he wouldn't be able to weigh in. So he was such a lovely young man. I met him once only. I met his sister, right, Maxine. Yeah, Maxine. I think Maxine won a Fox Hunters too, Pat, didn't she? She won a Fox Hunters.
They came to Pat,
Yeah. So again, from all of us here, Pat Healy and all of us here in the Ginger Joe Racing Show, may Michael O'Sullivan rest in peace.
Yeah.
So we move on. The lads had questions for Pat. I will read them out. I sent them to Pat the last day. This is from Scotty. Pat, who is your main target audience? Obviously, this is your business and photography. And how did you get into it, really, Pat? Just all we're asking.
So Healy Racing we are an agency, and we supply racing photographs. Our audience, I suppose, would be we would have contracts, media contracts, and we would do it commercially also. So it was started in 1975. So would you believe the business is 50 years old this year? My dad started it. He took it up as a bit of a hobby, first of all, in 1975. And then in 1978, he said to my mum at the time, his wife, Joan, I'd like to have a go at this full time, which was a ballsy thing to do because he had a 9-to-5 job. He was delivering drinks for John J. Gallivan Drinks Company from here in the Stole around North Kerry, to all the pubs and the hotels. And he said, I want to have a go at this horse racing photography, and fair play to him. It was a ballsy thing to do, and he'd done it. So thankfully, we've survived 50 years. We have a great team. My sister Cathy runs the office. My brother Liam is a photographer at the races, and my nephews Kevin and Sean and my son Jack helps us out. So we have a great team. The girls in the office, Ruth and Noreen, and it's, as I said, racing tomorrow. We have one race meeting tomorrow in Punchestown. So what that means is that we supply pictures from each race to our contracts. After the race, our media contracts, that'll be the Irish Field, the Examiner newspaper, irishracing.com. And then we have a media website where we would have clients can drag the images if they need them after whatever race. So It's a busy. The weekends are busy. We have Pint of Pints, and we do Dundalk on Friday night as well. Also, so the weekends are always busy. But that's how it started, and thankfully, as I said, we supply contracts. They are our audience.
Lovely, Pat. We remember that day, Pat, not bringing it up, at Navan. Some horse, was it a JP horse? Nearly took the head off you, as we say in Ireland.
Yeah, in two
I remember,
yeah.
like the day as we have the question, wishful thinking in the champion chase. What was the name of the horse again, Pat, at Navan, that nearly took you out?
In two casts.
In two casts. We couldn't think of it. We couldn't think of it. We couldn't think of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you spend the day? Did you spend the day in Navan Hospital that day, Pat?
Yeah, do you know what it was?
Yeah.
Jeez, I'll never forget it. It's right. I was just so lucky. I just turned a quarter of an inch that his head missed my head and went over my shoulder. But, it was my mother's birthday that day. My mother passed away in 1987. I have no doubt she was minding me. It was the 24th of November. And yeah, I remember it happened, and I was lying on the ground, and I said, "Am I dreaming?" I said, "Did that just happen? I must be dreaming." And out of the corner of my eye, I could see the grandstand in Navan, and I said, "Fuck it, no!" I said, "I'm in Navan. It did fucking happen." Jesus Christ! And I remember Paul Nolan, the trainer, and I think Tom Howley, and I remember I could see him speak and I couldn't hear him. But then Jennifer Pugh came on, and Jennifer said, "Look, you have to get into the hospital." I was okay going in, and I actually drove home to Listowel that night. The boys came on after racing, my nephew Kevin and Spike Murphy, and I drove home. But I was lucky. Should I have been standing there? It was after the race. I was behind the winning post. It was just one of those things. And thankfully, I was okay and I was able to walk away from it. But it's not something I would like to happen again, I'll tell you that.
Fair play to you, Pat. I suppose, Pat, the last question there that we have there, what he sent you, is your fondest memory. I suppose, will we make that a two-parter? What's your fondest memory of a horse? What's your fondest memory of the Stowell or Cheltenham, by the way, or anything like that?
It's so like I'm lucky. I'm doing it 45 years now, and I've seen so many great horses. Like I go back to every decade. I can go back to Captain Christie. I remember seeing him. I remember Red Roman, of course, Don running the 80s, the 70s. You know, then the 90s with Isterbrack, Denoli, those greats, and every decade there's greats. But I do think, obviously, see the Stars and Frankel always got me excited on the flat, always. I'm lucky to have done about 30 Breeders' Cups, and I had 2 Breeders' Cups with Zenyatta. She was a great mare in she was trained in California. I can't think of his name now. Nice man. And she got beat in Churchill. Blame beat her. And she was going for this winning streak, and it was her last run. And I remember the atmosphere in Churchill that night, and that was such a disappointment. She got beat. Mike Smith, big money Mike, he gave her a balls of a ride. I never in my life have I seen a horse get as bad a ride as he gave Zenyatta that night. I'll never forget it. But like I said, and now we're in the generation of Constitution Hill and Galloping des Champs. And it's just brilliant, and I love them. I love watching them, and I love seeing them. And I really hope Galloping des Champs wins his 3rd Gold Cup, because I love him as a horse. For me, he's always trying his heart out. He's a great jumper, and it's not to stretch the imagination too far. It's not dreaming to think that this time next year, please God, we could be hoping that he'll be going for his 4th Gold Cup. So, as I said, there's always a new generation of horses. I love all the big race meetings. I love, of course, the Stowell is my hometown, but I love racing in Ireland, whether it's Downpatrick or Wexford, Sligo, you name it. I love the festivals. I love Galway. I love Punchestown. I love DRF. I love them all. England, I love Royal Ascot. Royal Ascot would be my favourite in England. And obviously the racing at Cheltenham, it's the 1 week of the year I don't have a drink is Cheltenham week, because it's too busy. It's our biggest week of the year. It's our busiest race meeting. But I'm so lucky that I'm able to go to these meetings, and that you're working there, but you also have a great position to watch the horses and jockeys in action.
Lovely. Lads, do you have any questions there quickly for Pat before we move on?
No.
No.
That was grand. That was some good stories.
You're sick of me, lads. You're sick of me.
No. We'll do
No.
one quick thing before we go. So, Pat, moving on, you've actually nailed something on the head about, thanks for that, about Galloping the Champ with 3 Gold Cups and hopefully 4 Gold Cups.
Yeah.
We'll quickly go through the main races, the championship races, forget about the rest. The 2 mares, would you like to see the 2 mares take on Constitution Hill in the Champion Hurdle? And would they have any chance against Constitution Hill?
They have a chance. No, don't listen. I love him. If he was Irish trained, I think we'd all be wrapping our arms around him. We'd all be embracing him. But as it is, I find people going racing, they want to knock him because I think he's English trained. But you do have to have a worry. You do have to have a worry that the little niggle that he had, it can come back, and it can come back in the Champion Hurdle in a couple of weeks' time. The boys. You're a betting podcast, and fine. Sometimes people tell me the more opportunities to bet, the better. And a 6-4 shot on the all-weather tonight is the same as a 6-4 shot in the Champion Hurdle or the Gold Cup. But I do think Cheltenham have ruined the festival, and I'm saying it for years. It should be 3 days. Take that Ryanair Chase. That Ryanair Chase is a balls of a race. I don't care what anyone says. The Ryanair horse. Who wants a Ryanair horse? If I gave the 3 of you a horse tonight, a Ryanair horse tonight, you'd leave him behind you, because you want to have a champion chaser, a Gold Cup, or a champion hurdler. Mm-hmm. They're the races, and I think by those mares races, they've ballsed it up. Brighter days ahead should have no option, only the champion hurdle. The best should be taken on the best. Everybody says they're going to go for the champion hurdle anyway. That's the good feeling. So we'll see what happens. But if she does turn up in the champion hurdle, yes, she has a chance.
Lovely. The champion chase, Pat, is John Bunn for you, or do you think Gaelic Warrior on a bit of softer ground?
I think John Bunn's record at Cheltenham isn't great. Everybody knows, but he's again, lads, isn't it, Gash? It's because he's trained in England. We don't wrap our arms around him. If Willie trained him, or Gordon trained him, or Henry, or Gavin, or Tommy Cooper and Tralee, whoever trained, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just you were always trying to pick holes in him. He's a magnificent racehorse. I seen him in his Pint, and I've watched him all the way through. I love him, but his record around Cheltenham is not that great, and it's hard though to see. Like, listen, Willie done it last year. Willie does magical things, and you whatever Willie throws in against John Bunn will have a chance. And with a Gaelic Warrior, he done it last year. He can do it again.
Lovely. And the last one, Mr. Gornia Litz, so-called banker of the meeting, Tihupu. Not many protagonists have come in through, Pat, to be honest with you. Is he just a shoe-in? But it is Cheltenham at the end of the day. Listen,
Gordon's record speaks for itself. This is the way he wants to train the horse. He was good last year. Nothing really has, for me, stood out against the crowd, although I do give Joy O'Brien's horse a chance home by the Lee. I hope Tihupu wins. I think Rob Kerr are having a dreadful season. God help them. They had a great year last year. They haven't had that much success this year for the amount of horses that they have. So they'll be having their fingers crossed that Tihupu can crown their season from this year. But I would take Joseph's horse seriously, and he's probably a good each way price home by the Lee.
Lovely.
Would you
go ahead, Paddy. Exactly what I want to. Yeah.
Going back to the champion chase, Pat, I like Joseph's horse Solness. Do you think his 2 wins, the way he's won the races, are a bit deceiving, or would you give him a chance in the champion chase?
A huge life, but he'll have to get home.
Yeah,
he'll have to get home, and his style of running, not many horses can do it around Cheltenham, as you know. Like, Cheltenham is uphill, downhill. It takes go back to your champion hurdle. Go back to your Isterbracks, your Hardy Eustaces. They won the 2.5 mile race, and then they came back and they won the champion hurdle. So to win a champion chase, a horse like Solness, you want to be a 2.5 mile horse. You definitely need to be a 2.25 mile horse. All them great champion chasers down the years, Viking Flagship, all them horses, they were all 2.5 mile horses. Is Solness a 2.25 mile horse, a 2.5 mile horse? But by God, if he gets the trip, if he can save a bit to get from the last home to the line, he'll take whacking. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you.
Yeah, I mean, Leopardstown's obviously not an undulating track anywhere near compared to Cheltenham, if at all. It's just the last when he jumped it against Marine National the last day, I thought he was beat, but he did find more, so that gives me just a small bit of hope. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, like even going back to Faheen when he won his won the Neptune, that was obviously further. Rock on Ruby nearly won a Neptune and won a champion hurdle. So you've nailed it exactly the thoughts, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but and like go back to Marine National and Solness and Leopardstown. Flanagan gave Marine I thought a great ride, and you just thought for 3 strides, yeah, Flanagan's going to pick him off. But your man kicked on again, and that was a super performance. Super, but he'll have to get from the last to the line. That'll be his handicap.
Solness won on the Sunday the Harvest Festival, Pat, didn't he?
He did. Yeah.
He did,
yeah.
Kieran, anything else to ask Pat there with the main protagonists of the main races?
No, not really, to be honest. I obviously, going back to the champion chase, I think Captain Guinness has got a chance in it, but I don't know whether Pat Swartz on his are. I know he's getting on now a bit, Pat, but
he has, but yeah.
Oh,
nope.
He doesn't like him.
Yeah, he doesn't like it.
He pressed the button, I'd say.
That's the end of that then.
He pressed the button on the thing, I'd say. Yeah, on that point, so lads, if Pat comes back, the Ryanair T, should it be there or shouldn't it be there? Scotty, I see you nodding.
It's a tough one because it's a race that I love. I think in recent years, the likes of Allaho, when he was bossing small kind of runner fields, it takes a bit of gloss away from the performances. When Vautour won his race, it was a massive field and he did it from the front. That kind of thing's just spectacular to watch. I mean, Alberta's run was another one of my all-time favourites. Won Ryanair's from the front, brilliant performances. I just think the 2.5 mile open chase division in the UK and even in Ireland, there's not many opportunities for the horses. I mean, talking about fact to file, going back to this race, I'd be very disappointed. So if it was a smaller owner and Willie's obviously got the Gold Cup winner in Galloping Day Champ, I wouldn't really be happy about having a Ryanair horse myself. I'd rather be a Gold Cup or a champion chaser. I do think there's a place for it, but I think in 3 weeks' time you've got the Melling Chase at Aintree. That would be my kind of take on the championship 2.5 mile race of the season because Punchestown doesn't have one either. So if there was a race to be taken out, they call it the 5th major at the festival. I think potentially it is one that they could get rid of, but it's just like Pat said there, Cheltenham should be 3 days. It's all from a monetary point of view. They're adding extra races to keep the festival ticking over. Maybe this time next year they'll have a conversation about maybe removing races. The crowds have gone down. We've heard the likes of rewards for racing starting to give away free tickets to try and boost crowds again. It's potentially a talking point for future. But yeah, that's kind of what I think on the race, to be honest.
And at the moment, back to file, banker or blowout?
I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. You know I like Jello, but I've also backed Protectorat because I just think the two of them, the form they both showed this year in the UK is miles ahead of anything I've seen in Ireland over the distance. I mean, fact to file, over 2-3 in the John Durkin. I mean, if he produces that form, he'll be very tough to beat. But I just worry that he's had very tough races this year. And Galloping Des Champs seems to be getting better as the season goes on, like he does over a trip. Is Fact to File going to have a mark left on him? I think Galloping could get away with it if he runs below his best into a Gold Cup. I think Fact to File's got it all to do, and I'd be taking him on every day of the week. I think Jello, Protectorat. I think even if Gaelic Warrior lines up here, probably won't, but if he did, I'd have him miles ahead of Fact to File, in my view anyway. I wouldn't be keen to lay him, but I'd be keen to take him on with something else, definitely. I think the most rock solid is Protectorat. I think at 8-1 you can still get. He's an absolute certainty to be in the frame, and he could very well win. So,
A man after my own heart. Scotty Rhodes always has been and always will be. Kieran, at the moment, who would you be fancying for the Ryanair?
Well, I'm all over Founder 50. Obviously, he's not been seen since God knows how long, but I think the step up in trip is what he wants. Going back to the point of the Ryanair, I think they should really get rid, to be honest. I think there should be a different 2.5 mile. Like Scotty said, there's a race up at Aintree for the 2.5 milers, potentially change the program around a bit. So they can potentially make that sort of their final there is at the Aintree rather than Cheltenham. I know everybody wants to have winners at Cheltenham, etc. But then that would make, like, the Queen Mother would be 15, 16 runner fields. The Gold Cup, we'd have 15, 16. How many are we going to have in the Gold Cup this year? 6, 7? Because they're all going to be scared of galloping and thinking, oh, we'll just drop back in trip. I personally get rid of it. I don't think they will because, like you've said, like it's 4 days because of the monetary side. It's not going to happen. Obviously, there was talk they're going to go 5 days. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But yeah, it's all monetary side. But yeah, if I was me, I'd get rid of the Ryanair and then make them have a choice: Champion Chase or Gold Cup for me. So yeah,
Lovely. We'll wrap up the show there, lads. I think I know what's wrong with Pat. His battery is gone because the 2 ticks are not happening in WhatsApp. So look, these things happen. We'd like to thank Pat as our special guest for coming on. His insight is fantastic, and his piece on Mikey O'Sullivan was absolutely fantastic as well. We'd like to say we're proudly sponsored by Oddschecker. We'd like to thank Kieran again for coming on. Thank you, Kieran.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me.
And to my esteemed brother, Scotty Rhodes. Thank you again,
thank you
man.
very much. Yeah, lovely. Kieran, thank you.
We'll be online, lads, tomorrow, and then we will be back the weekend with another special preview with more special guests. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you later.